right, so, well, thank you, Jacob's mom, for the handwriting. And thank you for making this because it's actually pretty handy today. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Welcome to Unit 2. Unit 2 is all about government, which is very handy because we have the election during this unit of study also. This unit of study will go all the way to winter break. Technically, in years past, we've had book clubs in this section too. We do not this year. Don't ask why. I'm not even going to try to figure it out. Just roll with it, all right? So we've got some bits and pieces, some ebbs and flows and things like that. I will caution you, not a bad way. When we look at, here's one of the reasons why those people, like history so much, because it's memorization, all right? When I was in school, I would have received a quiz that would have said, identify the 13 colonies, all right? I would have got one. I know I did it. Maybe I passed it. Don't quote me on that. Probably failed it. But I would have had one that did that, right? In today's world, though, we focus less on memorization and more on the process. So I'm not going to be asking you questions like that, but instead I'm asking the questions more along the sense of the why. Why did they make the Declaration of Independence? And maybe even more importantly, in 2020, does the Declaration of Independence still hold significant value to our society today? Some would argue, well, yeah, this is like our example of we're our own governing body. We do what we want. If we don't like you, we get rid of you. Okay, cool. Some would say, this is a document from the past, which is cool and important, but it doesn't necessarily hold the same value or worth in 2020 as it did then. We're not breaking away from people. And don't forget, the Declaration of Independence, as we go into it a little bit, it's cool because of how it's broken down, but also remember, we're going to continue to allude to this. When it talks about freedom and equality and all those kind of things, keep in mind, in the 1700s, that freedom and all people are equal kind of bit, that is very limited. You got to be a dude, you got to be white, you got to own land, and really most likely you have to be Anglo-Saxon also on top of that, all right? In the 1700s. If you didn't meet those four categories, this did not pertain to you. This was not your Declaration of Independence. It's kind of hard for us to like wrap our minds around that today because we're like, oh, cool, we have this great idea from the beginning that all people are free. Yes and no. We, as in the people, the founders who created the whole Constitution, Declaration of Independence, did they believe that all people were free based on that basic definition? No, they really didn't because they didn't even recognize some people as, well, people. However, one of the things that we forget is that this document, did the folks write it? Yeah, they wrote it. But did they just sit there one day and go, you know, I think all people are created equal. And I think we should have a form of democracy as government. I think we should elect the people. Do you think that a bunch of old crusty guys were sitting around a table and just randomly thought to themselves, hey, Ben Franklin, 1, go get struck by lightning. 2, when you come back, tell us about how to form a government. Do you think that conversation took place? They probably did because they wanted to see Franklin get shocked by lightning, but it doesn't mean anything good came from it, right? It really did happen. That part did. No, no. Right?
He's the one who created the light.
He's the dude. He's that friend where you're like, hey, go try this. And you know it's going to end badly, but you want to see them go do it anyways because you want to film it and you want to put it on the internet. Okay, that's Ben Franklin. He also thought the national bird for the United States should not have been the eagle. It should have been the what? Turkey. Nicely done. Okay. So he had some good moments, not so good moments elsewhere, right? But the thing is, these guys didn't just sit around and go, we should form this. They didn't just make everything out of thin air. They didn't make a government out of nothing and go, oh yeah, here, perfect example. The first thing they did, believe it or not, and this is where all of you go, we hate you, fact, they read. Okay. And here's what they read. They read what we call philosophers. So these are people like, think back to ancient Greek. All right. The folks that are sitting back, who really did sit back in the day, go, what is the answer to life? And before they discovered that it was 42, they would sit back and have these great conversations about it, record it. Like these are the Aristotles, the Platos, the Socrates, the folks way back in ancient history. They ask the questions about why does mankind exist and are there things about man that are inherent or guaranteed? Like, are people by nature greedy? Some would say, well, yeah, we're all selfish. Some would say, no, that's something that's taught. Are we inherently innocent or are we inherently guilty? Like, are we born into the reality of where we're going to do something bad? Like, for example, great example here. Deal with a 2-year-old or 3-year-old. Some of you already do, and I'm sorry, but like, deal with them and you're going to discover something unique about them. They're born, voila, we have a child. Okay, we're not going into that conversation. But voila, fish and chips, here's this squishy, smelly thing, right? Oh, cool, what do I do with it? It looks at you. It screams. You're like, well, crap, all right? And you have to work with it and try to figure out how to make this thing work for a couple years, right? Here's the crazy thing. When that child, who assuming grows up in the perfect condition, meaning it has food, it has shelter, it has clothing, it's taken care of, it's nurtured, it has a good upbringing. By the time it hits age 3 or 4, the craziest thing happens from this child. They're going to do something. Perhaps it's with a crayon, and it involves a wall inside the living room. I don't know. Maybe that happened to some of us. But the crazy thing that happens is when they do that, they draw their pretty picture. And then the parents and guardians find the child. And they ask one of the dumbest questions out there. Who did this or did you do it? We know the dog did not. Now, there's a high chance the cat did, but that's not the point because cats are evil. But you ask the child this, and the child, even though it knows it is the one who took the crayon to the wall, yet it still makes the attempt to lie. Now, the bizarre question from this is that child, and this is more psychology than anything else, where did the child learn that behavior? Because if it grew up in a safe, secure environment where the adults in its life, parent, guardians, whoever, did not supply them with the opportunity to lie, like what is lying. Remember, we're dealing with a small child. Where did they get this notion? So some people argue it's called nature versus nurture, saying that some things we are born with, that'd be nature, it's a natural response. Some believe it's nurture, meaning we are taught. We're taught how to lie. We're taught why we steal. We're taught why we're mean to other people. It's a philosophical debate. These are conversations that we don't have answers to because we don't understand humans. We're all idiots. We know this, right? So the reason I bring up these philosophers is because, one, you're going to learn about 4 of them this unit, and it takes a chunk to wrap your brains around them. Those philosophers is what really led to the Declaration of Independence. These are people from the 1600s, the 1700s, even the 1400s, way back when, that are sitting back going, here's what we believe government should look like. Here's what we believe people should act like inside of a country. If people are left alone without a government, what do? One philosopher says, we all suck. We're horrible creatures. We will kill each other if we have no government and no rule. Honestly, not far off, right? So when they devised the Declaration of Independence, know that they pulled from other people who had already done the thinking for them, but merely tried to apply it to a new system. So the Declaration of Independence, here is what you need to know about it. I know we briefly went over it earlier.
I did say one minute.
Yes, you
Yes.
Ooh. I want to do that again. All right, cool. Anyways, yes, you did. And I actually want to bring those into context, these 4 things right here. So when we look at the Declaration of Independence, there's like 3 to 4 sections of how this document's actually made. It's really not a long document. There's a laundry list of things the king did wrong, but it's really not an in-depth document. If we could ignore the these, thous, and weird English that we don't use today, if we could ignore all that, it's really not a complicated thing to read. It's like, oh, cool, we don't like you, you're tacky, I hate you, we're leaving you. Like, it's not rocket science. So I do want to point a few things out. The Declaration, is alluded to here, is made up of the preamble, the rights, the indictments, and Statement of Independence. All right. Honestly, for all accounts and purposes, that's a pretty good 4-section piece to go off of. Even if I was using my own stuff, which we all know I'm too lazy to do that, it would look something like that. Not nearly as artistic, a lot more boring, and probably on a Word document, Times New Roman 12 font. So The Constitution, or the Declaration of Independence, is divided into 4 sections. The preamble, this is literally as it says. It's why the Constitution made the Declaration, all right? This is the coming out of saying, like, we believe all people are equal. We believe in free government. We believe that if the government screws up, we have every right to rebel, revolt, and remove it, all right? The next is the Declaration of Rights, is the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. This right here, I know some of you in the back can't read it, but that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that derives or comes from specifically a philosopher. There's a philosopher from the 1500s that believes all people should have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. His terminology was life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, meaning that you should have life, liberty, and you should have your own land. Remember, agriculture is king at this point. Everything revolves around the dirt that you have and what you grow on it. Bill of Indictment. All right, that's the fun list. That is the naggy laundry list of all the things the king did wrong. And then finally, Statement of Independence, which for all accounts and purposes is the colonies looking at the king and using fancy explicitive language from the past would say, you know what? Insert expletive, you, peace out. Okay? That's it. That's the Declaration of Independence. So if we break it into 4 sections, also had a quiz on that too. If we break it into 4 sections, it's really not hard to understand. And it's pretty straightforward. Why it was made, what we believe all people should have. Here's all the things the king did to screw up. And this is us saying we're done. See ya. So really the last piece, that Statement of Independence, that's, if we're looking at what it was, the breakup letter, that really was the breakup piece. Joe, you all right? Good. Any questions about this? Excellent. I'm not saying this piece is boring. I will always argue the Declaration is a very important document just because we have it, and it's able to show, like, this group of people, they weren't kidding when they're like, we're done with you. That part's pretty cool. But at the same time, it's not overly complicated. This is not the hardest piece of American history. The Constitution, on the other hand, that's a lot more in detail and a lot more to dig through. I think we start that in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. Okay. So your task for today, or for the until Wednesday, whatever. So this is where I sit back and go, what was it that I assigned you guys because I made this so long ago?
Why did they make the Declaration?
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Are you guessing, or is that really what it is?
That's what it was. 'Cause you said that.
What is today's date? 10/26.
It's 10:30.
And you're in your own world again.
Huh?
Oh, that's weird. I actually don't have. What the heck? Gabby, how did you let that happen? Unbelievable. I'm surprised I haven't got an email from anyone yet that's like, what are you doing? If you looked at the Declaration of Independence, it turns out that there's no task. It was never written. All right.
Oh, well, I did it. So.
How did you do it if there was nothing there? Oh, it's a discussion. Got it.
At the bottom of the discussion, it says reply, but there's no reply to.
Right.
You have to-
Or like what to reply about.
I got you, fam. Here we go. All right. So your discussion piece, and this is going to involve a little bit of outside research. Okay. Shut it, Joe. Involve a little bit of outside research. Even though it turns out Doherty can't spell today either. And somebody out there is going, same. Is to answer the following prompt. We're going to italicize it so we're fancy. Does the Declaration, Declaration does not have a P in it. Independence says, does the Declaration of Independence still hold the same value and significance as it did over, how long ago that? 1770, 2020, almost 200 years ago? No, almost 250 years ago.
Yeah, scroll up. What the?
Oh yeah, Steve Hall.
You said 250 years ago?
Yeah.
The Boston Tea Party was in 1773.
Yep.
The Revolution was in 1775 to 1776. Pull up to the top.
I got
Storybook.
yeah, I got it. Okay. So and do I do anything?
No.
Do I want to add anything to this? Nah, I'll be nice.
Yes.
I'll be nice to you guys.
No, you should.
Let's see.
No, what are you saying? What are you saying?
So a reminder, just so you guys are aware as I get this set up. This will actually I could do a letter grade on that.
Is that 100 points?
No. So please recall a bit of a change to your grading scale. It really doesn't go into effect until next quarter, so like the first week of November. But for all sake of for all sake of conversation, as like a trial run, I'm going to use it for this assignment. Okay, so all assignments from now on, because I didn't see you guys obviously Thursday, Friday last week. All assignments from now on are worth a total of 4 points. All right. If it's amazing, you get a 4. If it's okay, you get a 3. If it's average, you get a 2. If it's a little bit below what I need, you get a 1. If you don't do it, or if it's missing or incomplete, you get a 0. All right. 4 equals A, B equals 3, 2 equals C, 1 equals D, 0 equals F. All right. That's your grading scale for the rest of the year. And honestly, even after this whole stupid pandemic, whatever the crap you want to call this stuff, after that's done, we're actually sticking to this grading scale. So just know everything you do is worth 4 points max. And a 4 equals an A, 3 equals B, 2 equals C, 1 equals D, 0 equals F. All right. Cool. Okay. Now I got your task fixed also. So this is a discussion piece, and it's going to require a little bit of research. And all you're doing is answering one question. And the question is, does the Declaration of Independence still hold the same value and significance as it did over 200 years ago? And just for giggles, citations are required to receive full credit. Yeah, what's up, man?
So last quarter we took on like things that were like going on like now.
Yep.
Are we still doing that?
So, okay, here's the T, sis. Yes and no. Yes, because I think it's important to have that connection. So I'm going to continue to do that. However, I am limited also on only being able to give 2 assignments a week. So that means I give you an assignment for this section today that's due Wednesday. I give you another assignment Thursday that's due Saturday, what you guys are already familiar with. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate that discussion piece also, because I do think it is like super important. These next couple of weeks, you're probably not going to see it because I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate it while also playing within the rules of assignments and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
I just want to do it from like history.
I think what's probably going to wind up happening, I'm going to do like a little evolution here, is most likely the assignments that you receive that are due Wednesday and due Saturday, they're probably going to start to incorporate more modern pieces to it to connect it to history and also the importance of today. So it's probably going to take you a little bit longer to complete, but at the same time, it still stays within 2 assignments. So it'll be there. Let me work my weird voodoo magic and I might be able to figure something out. Okay, cool. Any questions aside from that?
Storybook.
No? Okay, cool. With that said, the rest of the class period is yours to get this taken care of. I am here to answer any questions you may have. Pretty short, simple discussion. All right, hop 2.